In a commercial fire, visibility drops to zero, and seconds dictate survival. An engineer's strict adherence to installation protocol is the only thing guaranteeing these strobes and alarms activate when it matters most. The ultimate objective of this process is to deliver a fully functional, safety-compliant system, one that has been thoroughly tested, is heavily documented, and ready to pass legal inspection without a single point of failure. This mock-up shows the 3 critical pieces of documentation you must secure before touching a single tool. You need the approved architectural drawings, the material submittal sheets, and a factory QC certificate from the supplier. That passed stamp verifies the equipment is safe to deploy. You also have to match your cable stock exactly to the submittals. This cross-section shows the required difference in shielding. Thick, XLPE armored cable must be used for outdoor environments, while the lighter FP200 cable is designated strictly for indoor routing. Additionally, check your hardware inventory. Every fire sensor terminal box and cover must be manufactured by an approved supplier, and they must be white. Skipping these material checks at phase 0 guarantees problems later. If your cables or terminal boxes fail to match the submittals and QC certificates exactly, you compromise the entire system's legal compliance before a single wire is cut. With materials verified, we move into the physical installation space, starting at the central nervous system, the main control panel. There is no room for improvisation here. The fire alarm panel and all junction boxes must be mounted in the precise, exact locations indicated on your approved drawings. Cable routing follows strict physical rules, as shown in this side-by-side layout. On the left, standard room wiring is completely concealed inside rigid metal conduit. On the right, you see the only acceptable exception. Cables can be routed without conduit if they are secured above a dropped false ceiling. Once the cable is run, you must conduct insulation resistance tests on all lines and formally record the data to prove the wiring hasn't been compromised during the pull. Inside the main panel and junction boxes, quality standards tighten. Every incoming cable must be cleanly terminated, properly glanded, and tagged with distinct identifiers, so future technicians can map the system. Before sealing the hardware, complete a thorough sweep of the interior. The fire alarm panels must be completely clean, stripped of all dust, insulation flakes, and stray wire clippings. Combining protected conduit routing, documented resistance testing, and debris-free terminations protects the delicate electronics from slow degradation and prevents false alarms down the line. Now we shift focus from the central control panel out to the distributed perimeter network, mapping out where the endpoints live. The quantity and location of every single smoke detector, alarm bell, and break glass unit must map flawlessly to the approved blueprint. Endpoints have strict environmental rules. This schematic compares an indoor break glass on the left with a weatherproof WP unit on the right. Zooming in, internal rubberized gaskets and a sealed casing differentiate it. Indoor units outdoors let moisture penetrate circuitry, causing failure. The physical mounting and wiring for all of these distributed devices must be completed cleanly and match the drawing requirements. By mapping these endpoints one-to-one with the blueprint and enforcing the correct environmental ratings, the perimeter network retains the durability required to survive a localized emergency. With the physical installation now complete, we transition to the final phase, live electrical testing and full system commissioning. Working directly in coordination with the supplier, you will run functional tests across all panel zones, alarms, and indicators. Every test must be formally recorded and evaluated for satisfactory performance. External communications are often mandatory. This diagram shows the system connecting via telephone lines, routing warnings directly to the local fire station. Once these pathways and functional tests are proven, both you and the supplier must provide a certified sign-off on the documents. Step away from the electronics to complete the final physical handover requirements, starting with the installation of a zone chart placed right next to the panel. Notice the material used in this mock-up. You cannot tape up temporary printed paper. The zone chart must be a deeply engraved permanent fixture mounted directly adjacent to the control system. Finally, emergency telephone numbers for local fire stations must be written in bold, legible letters directly on or next to the panel. Thorough documentation verification, collaborative live testing, and permanent clear signage are the specific steps that certify a static web of electronics as a life-saving tool.